Hey everybody, it's Gina Green with EnergyYogaByGina.com. And I wanted to talk about the three top reasons that people are unsatisfied in their life. And the first one is usually money, and then power and sex usually fall in there pretty close together. They're all kind of intermingled. And I think even some of the main problems in society and families, relationships have to do with money, power, and sex. So, for people who don't have enough money or spend money in ways that their partner doesn't like, will have a tendency to cause fights. Then it causes secretive behavior. It's pretty obvious on that one. And for some people, they say, "Oh, I'd rather have love instead of money." Well, money's kind of like oxygen. You'd really hate to run out of it. So for some people, they can actually sacrifice their whole life, trying to find that perfect love without focusing on, how are they going to develop a way to take care of themselves? How are they going to develop a way to take care of their family? So that's kind of a huge thing. And then again with power, you will find in today's society that there's a definite generation gap between um, the do as I say, not as I do type mentality, and the do as I do type mentality. So you'll find in some households, parents believe or feel they have the ultimate power, they have the ultimate say, and that their children do not come from a place of equal power. Now, I do agree with that. Children do not, in one sense, have an equal say in what's going on. However, when you strip a child of their power to make decisions, their power to choose what they want to do with their life, even if it's the power of just cleaning up their room, when you strip a child of those powers, then it's interesting by the time they become teenagers and young adults, they can't do anything. Those are the kids that never move out. So it's really important as a parent and within relationships to allow each other to maintain their own power. That person has the power to make their own choices. Now, I'm not saying there's not some consequences that come along with people's choices, and I'm not saying you have to put up with bad behavior. But right after money, man, I gotta tell you, that power thing comes in. When anyone's trying to overpower you or trying to manipulate you, take your power away, or in some cases, people just kind of give their power away and then they wonder why their life's not working. And then, of course, the third one is everybody's favorite, sex. Nobody wants to talk about it, but everybody wants to do it. And what I'll do in following videos is to maybe describe some of the differences between, not so much between the sexes, but ways that maybe a man can be more satisfying to his partner, or ways that a woman can be more satisfying to her partner. I do believe a lot of society's problems comes from, and I can already feel the hate mail coming, that a lot of society's problems and stress comes from a lack of sexual satisfaction. There are plenty of people out there having great sex, and there's a lot more people out there having bad sex. And there's things, whether it's the way you approach the conversation, and again, it goes back to the same three things. What do you want out of a sexual relationship? What do you bring to the table? And what are your deal breakers? Those are really lively conversations to have with your partner. It's the same thing with finances. You know, what do you want out of finances? Do you want to be a stay-at-home mom? Do you want to be a career woman? Do you want to be a stay-at-home dad? Maybe you want to be the one who stays home and raises their kids. There are men out there who are really brave enough to step forward and say, you know what, I'd love to raise my children. I do have a friend who the dad is the primary care provider, and if the kid stub a toe or needs something, they go to dad. They don't go to mom because he's the primary care provider. And it did take a while for the mother, because she's the one with the career and all that good stuff. And it did take her a while to get used to the idea that, dad's the primary care provider, and that, the children will be more reliant on her when they get older than they are right now. And that's okay, there's nothing wrong with that. And then, same thing with power. What do you want out of power? What are you willing to bring to the table? And what are your deal breakers amongst, with power? Same with money. How much money do you bring to the table? What do you want to do with your finances, whether it's retirement, not retirement. Maybe you want to give all your money to charities and be a nun. I mean, you can do whatever you want with your life. And then, of course, what are your deal breakers with money? What are you willing to go into debt for? What are you not willing to go into debt for? What are your beliefs about debt to begin with anyway? That's a huge one. It's really important. I've had some close friends who, they get really close to the marriage block and find out one partner manages money in a way the other partner is not interested in. That's oftentimes a deal breaker. And most of all, really with sex, again, what do you want? What do you bring to the table? Are you willing to experiment? Are you not willing to experiment? Are you old fashioned? Are you kind of racy? You got to talk about, do you want children? Do you not want children? Contraceptives. What happens if you get pregnant and you're not married? What happens if you got pregnant next week? I mean, these are all conversations that need to be had before the event. And I know, oh, I got caught up in it. Well, okay, that's great, but it costs about $180,000 to raise a child nowadays. I certainly hope that event was worth $180,000 because it's not cheap to raise children nowadays. You got to think about these things. Otherwise, you can change the whole path of your life in 3 to 10 minutes. Hopefully, it would be maybe longer than that, but who knows? So this video mainly covers power, sex, and money, the three big areas in people's lives that cause them the most dissatisfaction. So when I talk to people and find out, what's breaking their heart, what's causing their depression, what's causing their anxiety, and for many people, what's causing their diseases. And usually it's one of these areas of money, power, and lack of sexual satisfaction that is affecting them at a very, very deep level. When someone is able to pay their bills, they are much more relaxed, much more confident. When they understand they have their own personal power, they don't have to put up with bad behavior, and they understand what a consequence is, they understand what a benefit is, and they understand and have the ability to kind of think through what might happen and have those conversations with people, they find out their life is much more satisfying. They find out they don't have to backstroke out of all these bad situations they jumped into. And then for many people, it's they've got the money, they've got the power, they're sharing the power, and they just can't get the sex with their partner evened out. Either one wants more or one's racier than the other. I mean, it really is an area of tension. But when you have those three areas, even 50 to 80% resolved for yourself, most people's level of satisfaction in life goes way up. So you might want to sit down and make a list of, how would you like your finances to improve? What would it take for you to be comfortable with your finances? What would it take for you to be comfortable with your power, your personal power, power that other people have? And then what would it take for you to be sexually satisfied? How often, with who, that kind of stuff. I mean, really get to know yourself so that when you know yourself really well, you can share that with another person. Because again, why would you want to be with someone who doesn't want to give you what you want? But to be fair, how is the other person to know what you want deeply? What do you want if you never tell them? If you're never brave enough to say, this is what I'd really like. Because there's something really attractive about a person who says, this is what I want to do with my life. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get there, but this is what I want to do. Will you support me on it? Because for people who are not going to support you on it, they might drag you down. And who needs that in life? Life's hard enough. You don't need a bunch of down draggers. You need to surround yourself with those people who will support you and are going to help you along the way and not hinder you. And so anyway, that's a lot to think about. You can leave your comments below.